Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're tackling something kind of ancient and kind of modern at the same time.
Oh, sounds intriguing.
It is, trust me. We're diving into whether or not aliens show up in the Bible.
Whoa! Okay, that's a big one.
It is. We've got all these articles, some saying certain Bible passages are like proof of aliens visiting Earth, while others have completely different interpretations.
So we're gonna be like deep in the Bible and deep in space at the same time.
Exactly. And the coolest thing is, even if you aren't into UFOs, this all connects to some massive questions like, just how big is creation? And where do we fit into it all?
I see what you mean. Like, it pushes us to think about our place in the universe and how we deal with things we don't fully get.
Right. So buckle up, because we're going to explore some thought-provoking stuff and maybe even challenge some of your preconceived notions along the way. Let's start with one of the most popular passages that alien enthusiasts love, Genesis 6 and the whole Sons of God mystery.
Oh yeah, that one always gets people talking. The passage talks about these sons of God marrying human women and having kids, but doesn't really say who these sons of God actually were.
Yeah, it's pretty vague, right? Some people think these sons of God were actually aliens, like messing around with human evolution.
Wow, that's a wild theory.
And their kids, the Nephilim, were supposedly a whole race of giants. Sounds like a sci-fi movie, huh?
It totally does. But Dr. Gizek, a biblical scholar whose work we're looking at, has a different take. He goes with St. Augustine's interpretation, which says that the sons of God were descendants of Seth, one of Adam and Eve's sons.
Okay, so not aliens.
Not in this interpretation, no. Seth's line was considered blessed by God. Then you have the daughters of men in the passage. They would be from Cain's line, the first murderer. So maybe this passage is about a clash between good and evil, not about different species.
Okay, so we've got good bloodlines versus bad bloodlines. Interesting. But what about the giants, those Nephilim? They sound pretty out there, pretty unbelievable.
Well, here's where it gets even more interesting. Dr. Gizek mentions this giant from his own time, like a giantess from Rome.
Hold on, are you serious? There were giants back then.
Seems like it. Which makes you think, maybe the whole giant thing wasn't so strange to people back in the day. It adds a whole other layer to how we understand these passages.
I never thought of it that way. It makes those stories feel a bit more relatable, less like, just mythical creatures.
Like something that could have actually happened.
All right, let's move on to Ezekiel's vision. Now, this one is jam-packed with crazy imagery. Ezekiel talks about seeing 4 living creatures, each with 4 faces: a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle.
Whoa, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah, they had wings, wheels within wheels, and were covered in eyes. It's like super intense.
I can definitely see why some people think Ezekiel saw a UFO or something.
Right, but fortify your faith.
Yeah.
Another source we're looking at suggests this vision is more about God's glory than a spaceship landing.
I guess that makes sense.
But still, if it's about God's glory, why all the strange creatures and wheels? It's not exactly the typical image you'd picture.
I know, right? That's what makes it so intriguing, I think. This vision uses symbolism to express God's power over everything he created. Those wheels going everywhere, it's God being everywhere at once. All those eyes, it's like God's always watching, always aware.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. It's like super symbolic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's powerful, Even if you don't take it literally, it still makes you think about how people in those days tried to grasp something way bigger than themselves.
Now, all this talk about angels brings up a big question for me. If angels are purely spiritual beings, how come they seem to have, physical needs in the Bible, like eating or appearing as human?
That's what's interesting about angels. They do seem to have these human-like qualities.
Exactly. Doesn't that make you wonder if there's something else entirely?
That's where the whole alien theory really takes off. They say, see, maybe those angels were just aliens hanging out with humans.
I mean, it's a bold claim. But wouldn't that clash with the whole idea of God being the only creator? If angels aren't spiritual beings, then what are they?
That's a really good point. Dr. Gizek gives another explanation, though. He says angels can take on temporary physical forms to interact with us humans.
Interesting. So like a way for them to blend in.
In a way, yeah. It's like God's way of making the divine more down to earth, more relatable.
So it's not that angels actually need to eat or have physical bodies like us. It's more about God connecting with us in a way we get.
Exactly. It's about communication and connection, not about actual physical needs. Think about it. When angels eat with humans in the Bible, it's not about them being hungry. It's about communion, sharing a meal, and creating a bond between the divine and human.
Wow, I never thought of it like that.
Ah.
It adds a whole new layer of meaning to those stories.
It totally does. It shows that these encounters weren't just random visits. They were about building a bridge between heaven and earth.
Okay, let's talk about another phrase that gets a lot of debate going. Image of God. It's central to so many faiths, but brings up so many questions, especially when we think about the possibility of other intelligent life out there.
Yeah, it's a huge concept with so many different interpretations. Are there UFOs in the Bible? Oh, Zedavian Hayes suggests this phrase actually refers to genetic manipulation by aliens. He uses the Hebrew word Salem, meaning image, and says it also means to cut, like implying some kind of intervention in our DNA.
Genetic manipulation by aliens. That's taking it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
But how does that fit with traditional interpretations of the image of God?
That's where Dr. Gizek comes in with a really interesting point. He says that Salem can also mean idol. Now think about that. If God condemns idols, why would he use that same word to describe humans?
Huh, that does seem a bit contradictory. So the word for humans being made in God's image is the same word for idols. What's Dr. Gizek's take on that?
He says to think about the Garden of Eden as this kind of cosmic temple, like the inner sanctum where the Thelem resides. Humans, being created in God's image, are at the center of this cosmic temple, acting as God's representatives on earth.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So we
Yeah.
go from being created in God's image to being his representatives. What does that even mean?
Well, think about what it means to be an image of something. It's a reflection, right? A representation. In this case, we're reflecting God's qualities, his love, creativity, compassion out in the world. And get this. Rabbinic tradition even describes Adam's body as radiating divine light, so bright that it tempted angels to worship him.
Wow, that's a pretty intense image. It really highlights the idea that humans were created to be something special.
And it begs the question, if we truly are reflecting God's image, are we living up to that incredible calling?
Yeah, it makes you think, doesn't it? Like about how we treat each other, how we care for the planet, how we use our gifts.
Exactly. It goes beyond just believing in God. It's about embodying his qualities in our lives every day.
Let's zoom out for a second and talk about something that comes up a lot when people discuss aliens. Does the possibility of extraterrestrial life somehow make humans and our relationship with God less important?
I think it's a valid concern. If God created other intelligent beings, does that mean Earth and humanity aren't as special?
Yeah, that's the worry. But in Aliens in the Bible,
Yeah.
a deeper look, the author compares it to like having multiple children.
That's a good analogy.
Right. Each child is unique and loved, not less important just because there are others.
And each one brings something unique to the family.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really interesting. Imagine we actually did discover extraterrestrial life. Could that make us more important in some way?
It's an interesting thought, isn't it? You'd think it'd make us feel even smaller.
I know, right?
But think of it this way. If there are other intelligent beings out there, how are we representing God's image to them? Are we living up to our calling as ambassadors of his love, not just here, but in the whole universe?
I see what you mean. It's not about shrinking our significance. It's about expanding our responsibility.
Right. It challenges us to think about our role in a much bigger cosmic picture.
Okay, get ready for a twist you might not see coming. Aliens in the Bible argues that we don't need to look to the stars for aliens. They're already here.
Wait, what? You mean like hiding among us?
Not quite like that, but kinda. The author's saying that anyone feeling lost, separated from God, struggling to find their place, is essentially an alien in need of connection and hope.
That's a powerful way to think about it. Not about beings from another planet, but about the alienation we experience here on Earth.
Right. And the author uses Ephesians 2.12 to illustrate this. It talks about people being separated from Christ, alienated from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers to the covenants of promise, having no hope and without God in the world.
Wow. Yeah, that really paints a picture of feeling lost and disconnected.
So this deep dive isn't just about hypothetical creatures from outer space. It's about recognizing the aliens we encounter every day, the people who need compassion, understanding, and maybe a little bit of that love that followers of Christ are called to share.
It really makes you think about how we interact with the people around us.
Absolutely. It's about looking beyond the stars and seeing the needs right in front of us.
It is. And there's so much more to explore. We've only just begun to scratch the surface. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue this journey and see where else this deep dive takes us.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the question, are there aliens in the Bible?
We've covered some pretty thought-provoking stuff so far, looking at how people interpret those mysterious passages that seem to hint at something beyond, well, what we normally think about.
Yeah, it's crazy how these ancient texts can still get people debating even today.
It is, and remember those UFO sightings we talked about, the ones that kind of started this whole fascination with aliens in the first place?
Oh yeah, the mysterious lights and government cover-ups and all that. It's hard not to get caught up in the mystery.
Right. And while the Bible doesn't exactly mention flying saucers or anything like that, it does have some pretty big ideas that can help us think about the possibility of extraterrestrial life.
Okay, I'm listening. What kind of wisdom can we find in these old pages about something as modern as aliens?
Well, for starters, the Bible makes it clear that God is the ultimate creator.
Like that line from Genesis, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth."
Exactly. It's one of the most famous lines ever, and it helps us understand just how huge creation really is and where we humans fit into the grand scheme of things. And aliens in the Bible, a deeper look, points out something really interesting about that passage.
What's that?
The Hebrew word for heavens is actually plural, which hints at the massive scope of what God created. It's not just one heaven, it's multiple.
So basically, space is unbelievably huge, and our little planet is just one tiny speck in all of it.
Pretty much. And when you consider all the crazy stuff we've discovered about the universe, galaxies, black holes, other planets, it makes you wonder what else is out there.
It really does.
It's mind-blowing, right? And that feeling of awe should lead us back to God, the one who made it all. Psalm 19.1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands."
It's beautiful, the idea that we're part of something so much bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Even though we might seem insignificant compared to all that vastness, the Bible also says that humans have a special place in God's creation.
Hold on, how can we be both tiny and important at the same time?
It's a paradox, I know. We might be physically small, but we have this unique relationship with God. He chose Earth, our little planet, as the place to reveal himself most fully, to send his son Jesus to live among us.
Yeah, when you put it like that, it's pretty amazing that out of all the possible worlds, God chose this one.
It really is. And it's not just about Earth as a whole. God cares about each person individually. He created us in his image. He knows us each by name. He rejoices over us. He sent his son to die for us. That's a lot of love.
It is. It's like he really went all out for us, even if we seem tiny compared to the rest of the universe.
Right. And that shows just how much God values human life. Whether there's life on other planets or not, it doesn't diminish our worth in his eyes.
So even if we discover that we're not alone in the universe, it doesn't change our relationship with God or make us less important to him.
Not at all. In fact, Aliens in the Bible, a deeper look, says that finding extraterrestrial life might actually help us understand our own significance even better.
I don't quite follow. How could finding aliens make us feel more important?
Well, think about it. If there are other intelligent beings out there, how are we reflecting God to them? Are we living up to our role as ambassadors of his love, not just here, but maybe in the whole universe?
Oh, I get it. It's like we'd have a much bigger stage to play on, a greater responsibility.
Exactly. It makes you think about how we would interact with these beings, how we would share our faith with them, and what we could learn from each other. It's exciting.
So we're both small and significant. It's all about perspective, I guess.
Hmm.
What else does the Bible have to say about how we should approach the idea of aliens?
Well, it talks a lot about representing Christ well. Followers of Jesus are called ambassadors.
Oh, yeah, like we have this duty to reflect his love and grace to everyone around us.
Exactly. It's in 2 Corinthians 5:20. We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. It's a pretty clear message.
It's a beautiful message, but let's be honest, we don't even know if aliens exist. So how can we put that into practice right now in our everyday lives?
Okay, so remember how we were talking about aliens in the Bible and how it says the real aliens are already here?
Yeah, the whole idea that people who feel lost and separated from God are essentially aliens in need of connection.
Right. So maybe instead of searching the skies for spaceships, we should be looking around us at the people who need to experience God's love, those who are searching for meaning and belonging.
So the real mission field isn't out in space, it's right here on Earth.
And Ephesians 2:12 really drives that point home. It talks about those who are separated from Christ, alienated from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers to the covenants of promise, having no hope and without God in the world.
Yeah, that's a powerful image of feeling alienated and alone.
It is, and it shows just how important it is to work towards reconciliation, both with God and with each other.
So maybe the most important question isn't whether there's life on other planets, but how we're living out our faith right now. How are we showing God's love to the people around us, the ones who need connection and hope?
I love that. It's not about searching for aliens and spaceships, it's about being the ones who bring light and hope to those who are lost.
And that brings us to another important point the Bible makes about this whole alien thing, humility.
Humility. How does that fit in? Well, think about it. We've only explored a tiny part of the universe. We're constantly finding new stuff that changes how we understand things.
That's so true. It seems like we're learning something new every day that turns our world upside down.
Right. And that should keep us humble. It reminds us that we don't have all the answers, that God's ways are way beyond our understanding, and that we should approach these big questions with a sense of wonder, not arrogance.
So instead of clinging to our limited view of things, we should be ready to learn, to grow, to consider new ideas, to be open to the possibility that God might surprise us.
And that humility should also affect how we treat others, those who agree with us and those who don't.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that everyone has something valuable to offer, that we can learn from each other, that we should listen with respect and an open mind.
Like that line from Aliens in the Bible, a deeper look. The aliens are everywhere.
Yeah, it's not about fighting them, it's about understanding them. It's about recognizing the image of God in everyone we meet, regardless of what they believe or where they come from. This whole conversation has been so eye-opening. We've gone from ancient texts to the mysteries of the universe to the aliens right here in our own backyards.
And all along, the Bible has been this amazing guide, even though it never explicitly talks about aliens.
It's been a great reminder that faith and reason can work together to help us explore the big questions of life and find our place in the universe.
I agree. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. We've talked a lot about searching, but maybe the most important thing we can discover isn't out there in space, but right here inside ourselves.
Reading?
It's about discovering the wonder of our faith, the love God has for us, the purpose He's given us. It's about realizing we're already part of something amazing, something much bigger than ourselves, something that gives our lives meaning, whether or not we ever find aliens.
It's like finding our true home, not in some far-off galaxy, but in the one who created us and loves us unconditionally.
Exactly. And that leads us perfectly into the final part of our deep dive, where we'll wrap up this incredible journey we've been on. Stay tuned.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into aliens in the Bible.
It's been a wild ride, hasn't it? Exploring these ancient texts and all the big questions they raise about, well, our place in the universe and all that.
It really has. We've gone from deciphering those mysterious Bible passages to debating the whole theology of extraterrestrial life to finding the aliens right here among us.
And through it all, we've seen how the Bible, even though it wasn't written with aliens in mind, can still give us some really valuable insights.
Yeah, like those old stories and teachings still speak to us today, even as we're trying to figure out these modern-day mysteries.
It's like those big questions about life, creation, our purpose, those never really go away.
Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, I remember you mentioned something about wanting to come back to a key idea that's been popping up throughout our conversation. What was that again?
It was the whole searching thing. Searching for clues about aliens in the Bible, searching for signs of life out there in the universe, even searching for those aliens in our own lives who need a little extra love.
You're right. The whole theme of searching has been there from the beginning. It's like we're all looking for something, even if we don't always know what it is.
I think that's a great way to put it. We're all on this quest, right? Whether it's for knowledge or connection or meaning or just a sense of belonging.
And for those of us who follow Christ, that searching leads us back to Him.
Right? Exactly. Like no matter how far we wander, how many questions we ask, how many theories we come up with, our true home is in our relationship with God.
And the author of Aliens in the Bible, A Deeper Look, has a great way of putting it.
How's that?
He says, the truth is not out there. It's actually inside that old book.
It's true, though, isn't it? That book, even though it's been around for ages, it still has the answers to those deep questions that we all wrestle with.
So even if those UFOs turn out to be nothing, even if we never find proof of aliens, this whole journey has still been worth it.
Totally. We've rediscovered something even more amazing. The wonder of our faith, the power of God's love, the purpose He's given us.
It's like we went on this incredible cosmic adventure and came back realizing that the most valuable things were already right here with us all along.
Then we have a better understanding of who we are and where we belong in the grand scheme of things.
This deep dive has been so amazing. We've talked about everything from ancient texts to the mysteries of the universe to those aliens who are right here in our own communities.
And the Bible has been this incredible guide throughout the whole thing.
It's been a great reminder that faith and reason can go hand in hand. We can use both to explore those big questions of life and come to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe.
It's been awesome exploring all of this with you. Thanks for coming along for the ride.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll have even more to talk about as we keep searching for those answers, to the mysteries of life in the universe.
Until then, keep searching, keep questioning, keep seeking after truth.
And most importantly, keep looking up at those stars. Keep your hearts open to the wonder of it all. And keep trusting in the one who holds it all together.